Um, Thank you, colleagues. This presentation, um, it's a culmination of my work in Nambita Mangola. Nambita is an assistant director responsible for research and scholarly communications. She was graduating yesterday uh, with a master's degree in data management. So that's why she's not here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share with you the approaches that we took at the University of the Free State in relation to open access. It's what we decided to do when I was appointed in 2015 is to say, which approach are we going to take? One, we said, let's build the infrastructure, and two, let's build the staff complement to be able to support the mandate. It was not easy because as colleagues have during the past 2 days have heard, there is more emphasis toward established high impact journals in terms of publication. So people are still really skeptical. I remember our line manager used to say, Charlie, I don't think academics will agree. So when you come in, then I think, Charlie, I don't think so. So it has been that struggle. But the good thing is that we took a decision that we are going to plant the seed. Let it stay on the ground. At some stage, it's going to come up. Keep on nourishing, keep on pouring water, and at some stage it will come up. So the approach that we took is to build the infrastructure. And here, I really want to press upon academic institution and research institution. Government, USAF, DHET, ASAF, I don't think as a country we're doing a good service to our country. Our approach is too fragmented. Each one of us is doing something, a little bit of it. We should be moving now to a situation where we have a country repository. Because now, if we take the amount of money, for us to have a repository that is running, we need 26 system administrators for 26 institutions. I'm not sure how many research institutions do you have? Maybe plus minus 8 or 10. So all these institutions, if we bring together the money and fund a national repository, I think we might do better. So if you look at the America project, and then it's easy also to get funding from outside, because now we would be doing, but currently what we're doing, we're doing this thing on a piecemeal approach. But be that as it may, we took that decision as a university. So what we are currently doing, we publish our 7 DHET accredited journals. They are accredited by the different indexes that were mentioned, the IPSS, the Scopus, and recently we were trying to push them, all of them, to be accredited by DOJ, and only 2 currently, but that's our trend because we want to promote open access. And then we are also assisting other universities. We also publish another 3 that are published by other universities that have asked us to host them. We are in discussions currently with Solplake also to host some more via Prof. Dube. So what we are doing, we are able to convince our manager to say, for instance, what happened? We had a review before I arrived. There was a library review where the reviewer said there is a high output from research output from UFS, but it's not visible because it was not discoverable, but it was there. And when we started with this project, They ask us to assist, and we put those journal output into our repository. All of a sudden, it went up. The app that was going up, it was a good app. More citation, more access, more downloads. And then they took a decision to say, look, how about you publish then the journals themselves? Because moving away from the Sun Media, who was the publisher at the time, we took it over and we chose OJS and we published them. Till today, these journals are published by us, and there's a good return on investment for them. Recently, last year, we took a decision again to establish a press. Initially, we wanted to establish a press, but there was a resistance from the university around a press, because the university did privatize the press, sold some shares, and they were still a stakeholder in what we call Sun Media. Sun Media became Sanbonani. Sanbonani now is no more. So, yeah. But unfortunately for us, by the time Sun Media went into, started to having challenges, we had already begun to establish this African languages press. So what we're doing, we're filling the gap. Currently, when we as libraries want to buy African languages books, we are struggling. They are not available, and such that, because we are looking at most of our African languages department is teaching Zulu and Sotho. We can't get hold, even in Lesotho, we can't get hold of Sotho books. So we've decided, why not? Let's publish them. We are publishing, and we enter into an MOA with the National Library. So this is a process. And we would want to publish these books in open access also, on an open monograph press. But we didn't marry to this approach only. So we also look at the issue of the current situation to say, okay, fine, be that as it may, let's look at the other green options where we actively participate within SENLIC in terms of open access, but at the same time, we also look at to say if they are being flipped. So if you look at our repository currently standing at 10,702 files and still growing. Unfortunately, we have just lost our scholarly communications librarian to Lindiwe. So we're struggling now. But yeah, we're getting there. So we will be going on. The good thing that has happened around the collaboration again is that beginning 2022, the university introduced a graduate management system. So what that system does, it tracks the students from registering for their masters and PhDs right up to graduation. So because we had challenges with people not depositing their research output. So now it's going to be linked to the graduate management system. That's one thing that we have been able to do. The university library was given the responsibility to run with open access, as I mentioned earlier on. But unfortunately, it was an unfunded mandate. Because I remember one sitting at the library senate committee when Betsy was still there, presenting the library the university open access policy. One of the faculty representative asked, where is the money to run this policy? It was an unfunded policy. So fortunately, problems happened. The university has got programs like Kubega. They've got programs like NGAP. Those are two programs where they take junior academics and put them on the program so that they can become senior academics and in there. So they take them at master's level and assist them to get to PhD. And then they've got other two programs, one of accelerated professorate and then another one where they take those who are already associate professors or who have got PhDs to move them to professor at a much faster rate. So all of those they're emerging scholars. So they don't have money in their research funds. So when they raised this concern with the rector came back to the library and said, how can you assist? You say, there's an open access. If you can fund it, we can contribute 50%, we'll contribute 50% and assist. So that's how the open access fund was established. So we decided to cap the funds to 25,000 and we were able to support the researchers. But obviously, because we didn't close it, seasoned researchers also tapped in on it. And we are not funding, we are saying we are topping up. So if you've got money, but it's not sufficient, you're topping up. But some people became creative, especially from NAS, which is a high producing faculty in our institution, they just chow the money. In the first 2 years, we always had a rollover. 2021, 2022, we had rollovers. 2023, the budget was exhausted in May, beginning of May. 2 million gone. 1.589, it's what we have already paid out, and about 485, it's what is committed. Because what happens sometimes when some journals require authors to indicate that they will be able to pay, so we allow them to commit the funds. So if you can look at the slide, you'll see that 29 of those journals that you find, those authors that you funded published in Q1 journals, and about 21 in Q2. So there was almost 80% of those were from those Q1 and Q2 journals. And as you can see, from natural and agricultural science, they took the bulk of the money, about 800, and the lowest was probably theology. Yeah, so we're only, but theology has high output because of research fellows. So we don't support research fellows, we only support academics. And we encourage students, postgraduate students to publish, and we intend going forward, once in the next year, we would show bias towards emerging researchers and students, and established researchers. Really, they do have the money, but they use it for conference and other nice things. So we are going to review our criteria in going forward. We are fortunate when we started that we had an open access champion, Professor Atangana, who was rated by Stanford University as the second best mathematician in the world. Sure, there was only one person in front of him. If that person dies, he's number one. And number 88, 188 in all sciences. So it's part of the 2%. But he has also been rated as part of the 1%, both in maths and in sciences by Clarivate. If you can talk about open access, if we want to talk about open access success, if open success was a person, it would be Professor Atangana. So just to show you what I mean, he was an imaging researcher, so he didn't have money to publish. So he went open access, and then he would go around and look for collaborators, universities that have people that have funds, and then he would publish with them. And then when I joined the university, he was a postdoc. In 2015, he was a postdoc. 1 year later, they appointed him to be a senior researcher, from postdoc to senior researcher. Following year, associate professor. Following year, professor. full profess. So you can see the power of publishing open access, because people all over the world can read and find useful information from your sources. So obviously, our hosts today, they are driving this process, and it makes our life easy to argue for a budget, to be either added or, because now what we are saying, the money that normally it will be used to pay for page fees and other things, it should be pushed aside, because we are taking care now of other processing charges. Yeah, makes sense. So instead of giving money for page fees, bring it this side. They'll publish for free, and NSM get the access. Makes sense. So there is a saying. There is a saying that if you want to go faster, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So this is my humble appeal that Liasa, Chelsea, Senlik, Asaf, D-Head, USAF, it's time you sit down and have a country position, NRF, DSI, HSRC, and push. Let's have, why other countries have got, we've got Plan S, we've got 0820, we've got, so that, like Ellen was saying, is going to a Berlin conference. Why are we having this small, what you call, open access meetings? UFS has got its own man. They were even fighting for speakers. They are not available. USS, Stellenbosch is side, UCT, everybody. It goes up like this mushroom. And we're not making an impact. So please, let's go together. Then we'll go far. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, and for sharing that information with us. For me, it's actually progress report because I worked with him in this project. For probably the majority of you, it's a refresher. Some of you are doing this, but it's always wise to come together in this manner and share what we are doing. So thank you so much. Now we are going to have a question and answer session. Colleagues online, I hope you have been part of us. You have heard the presentations. You have also made notes for yourselves in as far as the questions that you'd like to ask or the comments you'd like to make. Charlie keeps on saying when he joined the UFS in 2015, but he doesn't tell you how he got there, who appointed him. And it reminds me of a visit to Oprah Winfrey at the UFS at one stage. And one of the students asked her a question and said, how do you make it? How do you afford to do also so many things and contributing so much to the world? She said, the answer is very simple. I just surround myself with people who know the job. I surround myself with experts. So they do the work and I just get the accolades. So this is what I was doing as well. I was appointing colleagues with expertise so that I could get the accolades. Yes. So I suppose that could be one of the solutions to these innovation projects that we have for IR. So many things that are so innovative, and I'm not an innovative person in this way. So probably managers, let's surround ourselves with people who know so that we can grow faster. Colleagues, over to you. Any questions for our delegates? I see a hand over there. You let me know if there's anything online.
Thank you. My one question is based on encouraging the PG students to publish. What is the criteria that you use for them to qualify for open article article processing charges fund? because the students, they might be required to co-author, but they claim, if you can see that I'm putting it in
Yes.
quotation marks, that the research is theirs. Why are they supposed to be co-authoring with the supervisors who may not have contributed that much? So I just wanted to find what is your criteria in helping the students to publish? Thank you.
And that's for Charlie? Okay. Let's take another question. So you note the questions now. I see your hand. Yes. Let's have the gentleman first. Thank you.
Afternoon, colleagues. It can be a question or a comment, but it's based on what Mr. Charlie presented. And I would like to say thank God because he's the same person who was here during the Liasa conference. And then as he was speaking, he reminded me of one of the things that was discussed to say that as the institution, we need to look into I think it was a presentation by one of the presenters, that we need to look into the possibilities of having a national repositories. So with that being said, and then one of the things that during the discussion came as an obstacle was that most of the institutions are having their own independence. And then I think it was given to the incoming Liasa executive, if I'm not wrong, that they need to go and look into how do we deal with the independency of those institutions when coming to the institutional repository, so that we can have a national repository that will be able to make sure that each and every user will be able to use that, instead of having individual institutions to compete among each other, but we are in the same body. So my question will be that, Mr. Charlie, how far are you with that challenge that was identified as being the one that is causing the problem when coming to have national position, the independence of the institution? Yes, we have a lot of challenges like resistance from the faculties or the lecturers, but we do have our own problem as librarians. People still need to be independent, but when we're in conferences, we talk of we need to be one. Are we using these conferences as a talk show, or are we using them to make to come with a future way of doing things? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's be brief, straight to the point. Thank you so much. There's another hand over here in front. Yes, he was first.
Thank you very much. My question will go to Dr. Charlie, I think. Okay, thank you for the presentation. I'm in love with open access. But then again, there seems to be a lot of resistance from some people who think open access sells the research short. And also from publishing companies who believe that they need to make a lot of money through subscriptions, readership, etc., which they do not get with open access. So I was in a conference recently where people were vehemently arguing against open access, not because of its value, but because it limits what publishers get. Now, is there a way we can balance these views so that the publishers do not feel slighted, at the same time we're able to give the best research? Thank you.
Thank you. So it's a comment. It's a question. So there are two questions. So let's allow Charlie to respond, and then we'll come this side. I don't see anything online.
Yeah, the criteria, it's quite clear. Obviously, we assume that the supervisor do contribute to the student's paper by adding value to the paper. So that's why they would then become co-authors. If they do not, then they are unethical. Yeah, so we cannot probe further. We just assume that is the purpose. So yes, for the only criteria that we have is that they should publish open access. That's the only criteria. and the journal in which they publish, it must be on the DOAJ list or accredited by DHET. And then, yeah, those are the main. And obviously, the student must have an OC ID, and then the paper has to be deposited in the institutional repository. Colleague, I think what was discussed probably at Liasa, it might have been during the Chelsea session of Liasa. Chelsea is in the process of putting together a repository for the ETDs only for now. I think they would give us at some stage, just be on the lookout. There are task teams that are working around that. But we're looking, what I was referring to here, it's beyond the ETDs. We're looking at the national repository itself in a broader sense. But also, not only that, my issue is that we should have a country strategy on how do we push this so that it's not left to groups. Because if it's left to groups, that's why it's easy for them to divide us and conquer us. And then the question was relating, just refresh me. Yeah, the buy-in is there now. I mean, when you start at the university, I think was around 2015, we're standing at around 2%. But now, almost all papers that are published at my university, close to 80%, they are publishing open access. Because what was limiting them even then is that with the hybrid, because now the publishers realize that they want to make money. Then they started to have this called hybrid, to choose an option to publish open access. So there was that additional fund. So for instance, what I've seen now with open access publication fund from the library, the researchers are taking that opportunity to try and see if they can't make their papers open access via the hybrid format. But what SENLIC is doing with transformation agreement, I think it's exactly that, to balance the fear of the publishers to lose out on subscription by saying, look, we still give you the same money that we were giving you for subscription, but now it's not to read but to publish. But whatever we publish, we want it to be freely available. I think that's the process. I think the issues that are being discussed around the cost, it's that to say it's not sustainable, it's fine. But at least for now, we are getting value for what we're doing for our money, because at least we can publish. That's why I'm saying it makes my life easy to fight for a budget at the university, because I can say, other than getting access, you also get to publish for free.
Thank you, Charlie. I suppose it's part of change management. Some people will be resistant at first, but as they hear the benefits, the impact, then they change their minds. This will be the last round. I don't know how many colleagues we have this side. I see you have a mic. I don't see anybody from online connection.
Okay, my name is Fano. I'm from University of Pretoria. My question is to Mr. Molepo. When you were projecting the University of Free State African Languages Press, I observed that maybe I'm not sure if the list of the languages were exhaustive, but I didn't see the language Chivenda. Is it because of are there no vendor authors, or what is the reason behind? Thank you.
Okay. Was there anybody else? Was that the last question? Going. Thank you. And so, Charlie?
African Languages Press is exactly that, African languages. So it's from Xhosa in the Cape to Swahili in the north. So we would publish all African languages. The intention is to also do translation of classic either from any languages to all the languages. Chivenda, it's there. Thank you.